What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Blood on the Razor Wire TV, where we bring it to you real and we bring it to you raw. We're in DC today with Big Psych. Psych, tell the people who you are, where you're from. Let's talk about you, brother.
What's up? I'm Big Psych. I'm a returning citizen. I went to jail when I was 19, charged with multiple homicide and, wound up getting in a few law books and getting, help from a few fellow comrades and, wound up ended up giving my time back, and now, I'm here sitting with you.
Let me ask you this, right, Psych? You go to prison when you're 19, you catch a couple bodies. What's it like for you, man, to be going into that DC jail at 19? I know you're a big young dude at the time, but what's it like?
I was kind of nervous. I ain't gonna lie because I was a kid. I was a teenager, and you hearing that you going in an environment with all grown men. You hearing that they stabbing. People. Before that, I never stabbed nobody. You know what I mean? But you hearing that people getting robbed. You hearing that. They coming from Lord and they know how to box. You hearing that. You hearing all these different types of things. So it sparked a little nervousness. I took that nervousness and I said, you know what? It's kind of like the fight or flight response. And I used that nervousness to to fuel my aggression and to make me more aggressive. And I said, I was in, I be walking in there. I was kind of eager to get into my first situation so I could get it over with. You know what I mean?
I hear you. What's it like to be 19, man, charged with a couple bodies, man? You thinking in your mind like, damn, my life's over with?
Yeah, I kind of said that to myself. I was like, man, you know what? My life over with, Slim. In my mind, I'm like, man, it was a lot of dudes that was just like, listen, man, you here now. Of course, I was irrational. You know what I mean? I was hot headed. I was, because I was dealing with all them emotions, right? And then I still was suffering from the trauma that I dealt with on the street. So I just, I was all over. I said, hey, I'm here. Old timers set me down like, listen, man, you here and there's nothing you can do but try to get in your bed, and that's what I started to do, try to get in my bed, you know. But I, run around and tell people like, man, I don't see myself growing old in jail. So I'm gonna force somebody to kill me, or they gonna wind up sending me to ADX. That's how much anger I had.
I know you're from Tony Lewis's neighborhood, just got out. Brittany Barnett, good friend of mine, was his lawyer.
Yeah,
You're from a very well-known area in DC, right?
right. Yeah, I'm from Handover. The first Handover First Street area. Grew up. A lot of broken homes, low income homes. A lot of drug trafficking. You know what I mean? You know, but we was a small knit group of people. So learn how to fend for myself at an early age. You know what I mean? And even if I wasn't able to fend for myself, the dudes that I grew up with, and even the older dudes, we all was like family. It was like a family. We all jailed together. We wasn't a part of that snaking each other out or back on each other. We all stuck together. You know what I mean? Because we were all we had. Okay?
I hear you. Listen, let's talk about this, right? You catch two. I mean, I think there was a couple bodies, right? And the case is
Yeah.
over with now. You're good. You're free. But what was this shit over, man? You're 19 years old. A lot of young dudes are out here catching bodies, man, never realizing. Like I just did a video today, man. Young dude, he kills his kid. He makes a YouTube video 2 years later. He does a rap song. He gets arrested, man. Now the man's facing the death penalty, possibly life in prison or death. What's going on in DC, at 19 years old where, you end up in a position to have to kill somebody?
Well, me
Allegedly.
personally, what happened was I had a shitty lawyer going to trial. You see, one of the homicides that I was locked up for happened in a building called the Tile House apartment buildings. You know what I mean? Legendary old drug infested, Section 8 apartment complex, right? Right around the corner on North Cal. You know what I mean? So what happened is there was a young guy that got stabbed. You know what I mean? And he was left to die in the stairwell. My lawyer, right? There was a few things that didn't happen in my case. Like one, they came out with a law called IPA, right? And under the IPA, you are afforded equal testing rights, right? So whatever the government has, whether they say it's you or not, right? Whether it's exculpatory, or I forgot the other word, whether the evidence is in your favor or not, you have the right to test it. Do an independent testing. That was never done for me. There was footprint. I mean, there was a trail of blood because the young guy came out of an apartment, ran down 50 feet of a hallway, was murdered in the stairwell. The hallway was 50 feet. There was puddles of blood down 50 feet of the hallway, and there was not one footprint. The witness said that I was a second behind him, that I was chasing literally right behind him as he was running. So that was a few of the big issues that got me back, in court for that homicide. Then the other homicide happened on First Street, where a guy got killed, and there was one sole witness, that got locked up, for some kind of whatever case he got locked up for, and he, told him, man, if you let me go, I'll tell you about a homicide, threw my name out there, However, down the line, there were other witnesses that the government tried to hide and suppress, that said, a different description, a different name, right? And this was the only witness. But because in my area, see, people call me Big Psych, right? But my nickname is Psycho. So I was known for, a lot of over-the-top things, right? And, I guess at that time, being a young guy, not knowing any laws, not, having a fifth grade education, I guess they looked at it like this would be easy to put on him, but, years down the line, I came back fighting.
Second murder, how's that dude die? Is he shot? Is he stabbed? Is he beat?
Yeah, the second murder, the dude got shot in the head. And I believe it was the head and the torso around here on First Street, right? So I got charged with both homicides.
How much time are you sentenced to for that case? What's your ultimate sentence when they finally hit the gavel and send you to federal prison? How much time are you sentenced to?
Well, I was sentenced to 25 years for the homicide around Tyler House. As I'm sitting in there doing 25 years for the homicide around Tyler House, they had spoke to me, came to Hazleton, West Virginia, and they said, hey, we got an idea about who murdered the guy Mark Johnson on First Street, and we want to talk to you about it. You know what I'm saying? So I told them I don't know nothing about it. You know what I mean? I wasn't even out there that night for you to be even asked because, they gave me the date and stuff. But I never knew that they were homicide detectives. When SIS walked me to the visitor home, saying I got a visit. I'm like, why is SIS walking me to the visitor home for a visit? I'm like, nah, I'm all right. I don't even want to go. They're like, nah, it's the Lord. They told me it was the Lord. So I walked up, got up there. I'm thinking maybe one of my friends might need help. And as I'm doing time, that's they started doing it. I guess they opened up the cold case and wanted to look back into what happened. So I told them I wasn't out there. I don't know nothing about it. I can't help you. They came back and charged me like a year later. Yes, I was still incarcerated. So I had to fight that and wind up getting back in court on my original case. So I had to fight both homicides while sitting up DC jail.
You end up doing what, a total of 15 years before you get out?
Right, I did 15 years before I got out.
That DC jail, a little bit wild back then, right?
Yeah, it was something else, man. Yeah, it was something else, man. Yeah, to tell you how wild it was, I was a part of the ride, right? 2008. It was in the newspapers and everything. They called the National Guard to the jail to try to contain us. We took over, the unit, and this is how young and, you know, while we set the unit on fire while we were, and they locked us in the unit. We set it on fire. So we in there breathing in black smoke and choking, and then the National Guard came in and shot tear gas at us. So a lot of, that was one of my experiences among many, but
So someone told me, right? I told them I was gonna interview you today, and they told me yesterday, they said, man, that dude was a wild dude in the jail down there, man. They said he was kind of like, taking shit and bullying people, and
right.
what was it? What was that about?
I was the last one to leave from around my area, out of my generation, right? So everybody that I leaned on, I could find then that looked out for me, I looked out for them. They was already gone. I was the last one. So when they came and built all these cases up, came and grabbed me, took me, and put me in jail, I had nobody to call home and ask for help from. You see, so what happened was, man, one night I was so hungry in that cell that I literally smelled the dude like making a nacho. I smelled the nachos. I smelled the oysters. I smelled the clam. I smelled the mackerel. I even smelled the cheese he was putting in there. So it broke me, and I stole the next day. The next day I went to a dude's cell and I stole his commissary. The dude stood on the table. He was like, bitch ass, you bitch ass nigga, whoever stole up a sale, your mother gonna choke on her spit and die. So ate at me like, damn, like I'm gonna tell him I did it. But when I told him, I'm like this, I'm the one who took your bag. We get into it. I get back to the unit. My big homie Joe Green from up in Detroit Park. So Joe Green said, man, hey, Syke, listen, little homie, I don't give a fuck what you do, right? Just don't get labeled as a faggot and a thief, right? And I say, dang, he said, man, that's that I don't care what you do, just don't let me find out you mess with boys and that you get stealing. So from that moment on, I took, you know what I mean? I I got good at it because once your reputation starts to precede and then I was a big old young, strong youngin. So I go to the hole, I might do a lot of push-ups, pull-ups, squats, just getting ready, get sent back into the unit to take again. I got good at it, and I got so good at robbing that I might walk into a unit and start at one scene. I go down the line to the lieutenants and them coming in and get me and take me back to the hole. And I leave out of there with all the people's shit.
Move that phone over just a little bit, just a little bit. There you go. Good. Let's see what happens. The volume's a little messed up, but it's all right. I'll fix it. So you go to the hole, come back out. You're ready to rob because you're hungry, man. You ain't got nothing. You're trying to eat.
Right.
You're in a place where there's wolves, right?
Right. And see, that's one thing about the jungle. And that's how they explain it to me. They say, listen, man, it's the jungle, right? Now you either gonna be predator or you gonna be prey, and there ain't no in between in here, right? So I'm like, yeah. So they was like, listen, man, that's how I go. They say the strong take from the weak. You know what I mean? And it wasn't until later on that I learned that the smart take from a both.
So now you end up leaving that DC jail. You go to federal prison. What's federal prison like for you, Big Syke?
Man, it fucked me up, right? Because when I left jail, I had to get my time. I got my first place. My first spot was United States Penitentiary Polo. First of all, I was scared of heights. I've never been off that far. Never been in the plane, right? So I faked the seizure. Tried to fake the seizure. The monsters picked me up. Once they did the medical, saying that it wasn't seizure, right? They picked me up and carried me to the plane, right? So I gets to the home over, and I'm like, damn, like, no offense, they tried to put me into the cell with a white guy. So I remember in DC jail, they're like, listen, man, the DC blacks don't get along with, the different races, and they don't like to be around us. They don't want to sail with us. So I'm like, damn, man, I can't go in there with him. You know what I'm saying? And, it was, I was prison illiterate. You see what I'm saying? All I knew was how to take be a gorilla in DC jail. So now I'm going out and I'm trying to remember a lot of the things that men have taught in the stories they told, and I'm trying to apply them. I made a lot of mistakes, and but when I got to United States Penitentiary, Pollock, Louisiana, it was the lieutenant. I think his name was Lieutenant Crowley. It was a brown skinned guy with glasses. Walks us down the walk, down the corridor. Now I'm like, yeah, I am. You know what I'm saying? I'm at the penitentiary. So as we're walking down the corridor, a little Spanish guy. He said, he said, you a DC black? I didn't, I say, yeah. So he like, because it's pretty funny claiming something that you never claimed before, right? I never been a part of a gang. So for him to say, yeah, you a DC black, so I try to put, as much bass in it as I could, like, yeah, that's who I am. What's up, right? So he said, y'all heard a lot about y'all. One of y'all is too many. So now I'm feeling like I need to do something to this dude. Like, what that mean, right? So we get to the court. We get to the guess it was I forgot the name of the door. It was in the corridor. So they about to release us to the yard. When he opened the door, it was nighttime, right? He said, "Now go find your unit, right? Go find your homies. Find your unit. Unit numbers are on the unit, right?" So I looked out into the yard. Mind you, I don't have nothing but a bedroll, bus shoes, bus pants, and a t-shirt on. Right? So and I feel like I felt naked, like I didn't have no form of defense. And when he opened the corridor door by the lieutenant office, it's an open field, right? This before they start fencing off. So it's an open field. He told us to go, and then he said, if you don't belong on this yard, don't go out here on this yard, right? So I'm like, what the fuck you mean? If you know what I mean? So in my head, I'm like, wow. So that nervousness kicked in that I had going into DC jail when they was like, I'm about to be in here with grown ass men. It's like, damn, I'm walking on the yard with all these inmates on the yard at one time, and I don't know nobody. And then I'd have done so much shit up DC jail to people. And I'm like, damn, what if somebody out here that I'd have done something to, and I can't even, I can't really see. And then there was people out there, putting baseball gloves on. They used to sell baseball gloves on commissary. It was dudes right there, and they like, man, what's up? They throwing up gang signs and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, what the fuck? So, it was different. You know what I mean? It was different. It was a change of scenery that, and now here come that fear. I'm like, man, I'm not going for nothing. You know what I mean? I ain't about to let nobody punk me. You know what I'm saying? I ain't, and that's how I stepped out to the yard. Like, I had to lift my head up, had to stick my chest out. Mind if somebody run up on me, I'm smacking with this motherfucking net bag, and that on this bed, bro, we gonna, and that's just what it is. Man.
So now you're in Pollock. You're like, man, I ain't going for nothing, man. You get to the unit. Do the homies embrace you right away? The DC dudes?
Well, when I got into the unit, it's funny. They put me in a cell with a Crip, right? So I go in the cell with the Crip dude because I guess the homies they didn't have any cells at the time in the unit. I went to C1. When I walk into the unit, I see all the men, but it was crazy because as we're walking down the walk. Now I'm past a lot of dudes on the yard, throwing up gang signs. And all I hear is like a rumbling on the windows, like, right? So I'm like, what the fuck did that mean, right? Like, I'm like, all my senses, like, I smell smoke and my hearing, I'm hearing noises and people calling and gang, and I'm just, my eyes, I'm seeing shit I never saw in my life and only on movies, right? So I goes into my unit and, I see, a lot of homies, they like, man, hey, you from DC? And I'm like, yeah. So they like, yeah, man, I could tell the way you walked in here that you was from DC, right? I say, how you know that, right? The homie Ed Yoke from now, Social Quarter. So Yoke, like, man, I could just tell the way you walk, right? Like, I knew you was a homie, right? Because I guess, so, and he said, later on, you'll learn to identify homies by the way they, So, they like, man, right now, we ain't got no sales, but I'm gonna put you in there with my Crip, man, until the morning, and then we're gonna make some moves when the case manager come in, right? So I'm like, all right, cool, right? I goes into the cell with the Crip dude, and he, like I walks in there and there's nowhere to put my stuff. Like he had both lockers full, like he had his cell set up to where it was his cell, right? So I say, hey, Sally, where I'm gonna put my stuff at, right? They like, man, oh, you ain't got to worry about putting nothing in here. You getting out of here in the morning, right? So I'm like, man, I felt offended, like you making it seem like you gonna put me out or something. He like, oh yeah, I ain't even supposed to be selling with you because you from DC. I'm only doing egg yolk for you. So I looked at him. So just like going through DC jail, eager to get my first, my first rumble win or my first, altercation in because I wanted people to know that I ain't to be fucked with, right? So what I do, I bust off on him, penitentiary illiterate. I bust off on the buddy of the big homie, and we in there rumbling, you know what I mean? So they locked me down, locked me and him up, so they had to do the politic thing before I was able to get back out the hole to make sure that me and the Crip dude wasn't gonna come out trying to kill each other and all that. They brought us onto the rec yard. And back then, the hole, they brought us both in the rec cages. We squashed it. The homies pushed for both of us to get out. And both of us came out. And it's crazy because that became a man after that. Me and Slim got real cool.
You walk in the cell first day there, you're banging with the dude who's been in the cell forever. You ain't there 10 minutes.
Ain't there all because, he had the cell set up. And, I don't know. I was penitentiary illiterate. I don't know how this shit go. You know what I mean? But all I know is, he's not giving me nowhere to put my stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I looked at that as like a challenge, right? And I'm already looking for trouble because I want people to know that I'm going to fight. I'm going, I ain't going for nothing, right? And this is the ignorance that I had from DC jail. Like I'm stepping into an environment and I'm trained and I'm ready to go on any and every little thing. I never knew consideration. You see what I'm saying? I never knew, I never knew those kinds of politics and those kinds of, it was a whole different, I had to be reprogrammed. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to be retaught a lot of things that I didn't know, right? So that's what happened. Like I'm like, hey, where I'm gonna have to put my stuff, And he like, don't worry, you gone in the morning. I'm like, what you mean? You make it seem like you gonna put me out? Like, man, you ain't even supposed to be in here. I'm a Crip. You from DC, and I bust off. Boom. We get the rumbling. Lock both our ass up.
How long you in Pollock, man, before you end up leaving that spot?
I got the Pollock I got the Pollock right after the DC and Louisiana ride. What was that, 2009? Yeah, like the end of 2009, I believe it was. And I left Pollock when the homies got into it with the Crip. But I was already in the hole though.
It's been a constant thing over there, man. I mean, Mario, one of your homies from DC, who I knew well, he ends up getting killed over there in Pollock. Gets into it with a young boy from that's a Crip that I want to say he was from the Midwest, a Crip kid. Then the other kid gets killed a couple weeks later, stuttered. So it's always been a DC Crip thing over there at Pollock. It seems that way, right?
Yeah, because I don't know, like Mario and them came a little bit after I was gone. So, but when I was there, like they had like an umbrella. Crips, Bloods, GDs, and all. Like when the homies got into it with the Crips, when I was there, the New Orleans dudes came and helped us because they was outnumbered, and it was like the Crips was like, this our yard, like it was a gang yard, you know what I mean? So like we basically looked at as like being independent. You see what I'm saying? Like we beat to our own drum, and that's how the dudes from Louisiana is, it ain't no gangs. And then it was crazy back then because it was like dudes was coming in there getting jumped in to Crip cars. You know what I mean? They was getting initiated in, and I'm like, I thought you had to be a Crip from the street. And that's why I said in the hole, I got into it with a homie. You know what I mean? I wound up, they gave me some paperwork saying, and the paperwork said that he had a statutory rape case. So I didn't know what was the difference between statutory rape and rape. So I wound up robbing him, beating his head on the desk and all this stuff. So Sean Branch came in there like, man, it's like, what is you doing, man? That's the homie, that's the Muslim bro. I'm like, man, that nigga's a rapist, Sean. Fuck that nigga. So, you know, Sean like, man, you wrong. It's like, man, you done beat the man head all the time. I'm like, fuck. So, you know, Sean Branch talked me into letting the homie stay. Like, man, you don't know I don't know everything about the case. But shit, all in my mind, I'm like, all I needed to know he was a rapist, right? You know. But you know, so I left him in there, wind up, he hid in the shower as soon as you come through the door. Stab in the back, we rumble, boom, 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 boom. After we rumble a little bit, you know, lieutenants and them coming there, hit me with the bing bag gun because I had him, like beating him up against the wall, trying to get the knife from him. But he had the knife. This is another thing I learned. He had the knife ace bandaged inside of his hand. Well, I couldn't pry it out his hand, open his hand to get it, right? So they come in there, they see me on him like beating him up against the wall, trying to get the knife, and they shoot me with a bing bag gun, right? And you know, so they took me out. Yeah, I'm in the hole. The homies come to the hole for the ride with the Crips and the homies over the basketball court. They get into the basketball court. So, you know, the homie, you know, the Crips said something to the homie, little young homies jumped him on the basketball court. When they jumped him on the basketball court, the Crips wind up retaliating. So Champ and all them, they wind up coming to the hole, you know, champing them like, damn, big boy, we miss you on the yard. But because, like I said, to get back to what I was saying, because the Crips was initiating Crips on the yard, it wasn't in their jacket. Like you had dudes from Alaska that would come down there and get beaten to the Crip car. They get jumped in, right? And it wasn't in their jacket. So now this overflow of Crips in New Orleans dudes and homies coming to the hole, they putting Crips in the wrong cells. You know what I mean? And how them dudes would go to the door, see 007 on the name tag and be like, man, I'm a Crip. I can't go on there. But a lot of them was prideful. A lot of them would bring their dumb asses in my cell and let me get my cuffs off first. You know, and they'll walk over there by the shower and in their mind think that I'm about to let them take them cuffs off. So there was a lot of that going on. I sat in the hole. I posted Ben Ship. I sat in the hole for about a year and a half.
Clarify this for the people, right? So when a person comes to the hole in federal prison, they
Right.
they open the door, they cuff you. Then he's already cuffed. They open the door, he goes in. You get to the back of the box first. You get your cuffs.
Right. Yeah, you squat on that box first.
And he's got no wins, right?
Nah, yeah, I'm taking and that's how I was taught. Ain't no rules in war, and if they was, if he uncuffed first, he'd do it to me, so, I what I do when they say cuff up, you got a celly coming, I look him in his face, and I say, man, I say, what's up, homie, right? And the dude, soon all I need to do is hear you talk, right? This is, all I know what a DC dude sounds like, right? So when I say, because, of course I can't tell just by looking at somebody where you from. But here go the psychological warfare, because now I come to the door, I look out my little, window, I see the celly, what's up, homie? And he, what's up, homie? Or, like an accent or like a curve in his speech. Oh, okay, boom, I uncuff. Or I might even ask them. Sometimes if I can't really catch an accent, I might just ask, hey, where you from, home? Oh, I'm from I'm a Crip. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? So when he said I'm a Crip,
hey, man, they say there ain't nothing fair in love and war, and nothing's fair in prison. Some people, have commented about the Silverstein thing that they got up
right.
Cadillac. Look, man, ain't nothing fair in prison.
Yeah, ain't nothing fair. Ain't nothing fair.
Sleeping, that's what it is. You said something interesting though, right? You said something about the DC Blacks. Like, look, man, I want to clarify this for people that don't understand. DC Blacks, man, like you said, you're kind of like independent. It's not really a gang. It's a group of dudes from DC, man. We stick together. That's what it is. You don't really have a shot caller nowadays.
Right.
You might have some people that people respect, but it's really not a gang, right?
Right. My only job, they told me getting off the bus that the only job I have is to make sure that somebody else from DC makes it back to DC. So only time you supposed to call my name, and then I was front line. So only time you call my name is when there's an issue. Other than that, he could do whatever the fuck he want, however he want. But then but we didn't have shot callers, but we had big homies like Chank. You know what I'm saying?
People that you respected, man. The older dudes that been around a long, people like me, me and Maya was probably there when you were there.
Well, nah, Nick wasn't down there. I was in Atwater with Nick though.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a couple places with him. But it's always someone that people respect, man. Some good decision makers. You're a young dude. How big are you, man? Tell the people how big you are.
I'm 6'2", 310 pounds. And back then I used to lift weight bags, down Pollock. We used to fill bags up with sand, and lift them. And there was some white boys that made dumbbells with the broomsticks, right? But I used to lift weights, do burpees, push-ups, work out. I was a big, old, aggressive young.
Leave Hazleton. Where do you go after Hazleton?
After Hazleton, After Hazleton, I went to Victorville, California. I left Atwater, California. Got sent home to Hazleton. Wind up helping the dude break into the lieutenant office in Hazleton to steal some tobacco. And both got locked up. Got sent back out the West Coast. I went to Victorville, California.
What people what Victorville's like?
Another gang, y'all. It was all gang members. And it's fucked up because I was the first load. It was me, Nut from Eastgate, Dustball from Edgewood, Dustball, they call him Dirty Dustball, Lil Shorty Rock, Chin. A lot of us we was the first load to get down there since what happened between the homies and the Crips out there. The homies, I guess, the homie Greg and G and them, Squeak and them, they got into it with the Crips. The Crips, the Crips thought they was going to outnumber them. G was, knew how to box real good, so he wound up knocking the Crip out, taking his knife, killing him, right? So they took all the homies off the yard. Now they started to do population control.
Well, let me stop you. That's when, are you talking about Love?
I don't know which Crip it was, but you got
a homie from DC named Love, man. I think he was involved in one of the Crips getting killed out on the West Coast. I don't know if that was the incident or not.
Yeah, I know G and Squeaky for sure. You know what I mean? G and Squeaky, and I don't know, the other homies that took place, but I know, like I say, they say a few homies took the knives from him or something, and wound up killing one of the Crips, and they took all the homies off the yard. So I know G went to ADX for it and everything. So
it's all good. So you're in Victorville, man. Where do you go? What's life like for you in Victorville, though? For you,
we was the first load of homies to get back on that yard after the Crip incident. I think there wasn't no homies on Victorville yard for at least 2 years or so, right? So we was the first load. So when we got down there, we didn't have no table. You know what I'm saying? The kitchen to eat at. We walk in the kitchen, the homies was in their kitchen, leaning on the rail, eating. You know what I'm saying? Standing up, eating. We didn't have any TVs in the unit. You know what I'm saying? But, like we was at other places with other people. By this time, I'd have moved around a little bit. I got a little name for myself now. And when I come into the unit, they like, Psych, man, you can sit right here, man. Man, hey, y'all, this my man, Psych, man, good man, snap, boom, boom. Matter of fact, it's crazy how I went in the unit, Mike Wood was down there. Mike Wood, I was in Hazleton with Mike Wood. They wound up taking Mike Wood out of Hazleton, and he was a white boy. He was an independent white boy. They took Mike Wood from Hazleton, sent him out there because of influence. By the time I got out there, he was already out there, so I got in the unit with him, and he was like, man, listen, man, if you want to watch something on TV, man, just let me know. Don't say it in front of my homies. But just let me know. I'll turn in. You just, you can watch it, I mean, because I know y'all ain't got no TVs in the unit, so I'm like, all right, I appreciate that, Mike, you know what I mean? So, but it was, of course, once the next bus came, now we build the numbers, by that time, we'd already cut our bunks, cut our lockers up. We got our bone crushers ready. And, it's time for us to move in. You know what I mean? Everything that the homies had that the Crips took over, because they lost one of theirs, we need ours back. You know what I mean? And that's what we went after. We went after every table. We found out every table in the kitchen that was a homie table before that incident, and we came to get it. It was a lot of politicking on the yard because a lot of people didn't want to give up them tables. A lot of people didn't want to give us back our TVs, but, we went to the hole a few times and they put us back in the yard.
Some people are watching, right? And they don't really understand what we're talking about. But so people know, man, they got a white TV, even different prisons. They got a Mexican TV. They got a Crip TV. They got a DC TV. They got, these tables right here are DC tables. These tables right here are white dude tables. These ones over here for the Serenos. So everybody owns something, even though it's really not theirs, right? But everybody owns something within the prison system. And you guys said, hey, this used to be our shit. We got some homies here. We're taking our shit back. We're not going to be standing on the railing. We're not going to be sitting back, not watching TV. We're taking this shit
back. Right. Yeah. So, exactly. So, the sales, we had to go take back our sales. We had to go take back the TVs. We had to go take back the tables in the unit. We had to go take back the tables in the kitchen. And we tried to get the table on the yard, but Matula Shakur, Doc, Tupac, Godfather, Matula Shakur, by this time, we already exploded. Boom.
I knew him personally, brother. I was in medical center my last 9 months with him.
Yeah, that was my man, man. Rest in peace, Doc, man. That was my man. Doc used to have a freedom run on the yard. I used to look out the window. Mind you, I'm young, so I don't understand the significance of a freedom run. I knew that Doc, he was like, he was a good man that, he got a lot of great history, right? A lot of great history behind Doc. So for him to get him and his friends together and they would run around the yard, like they would just run around the yard and, and say that they having a freedom run, right? And I'm like, but what happened was Doc went to the SIS and the captain and the warden and said, listen, man, y'all see these dudes don't have nowhere to go. Y'all see these dudes don't have nothing. Y'all setting them up to do shit out here. You know what I'm saying? It was funny because we'd go to the hole, they wouldn't even write us up. You know what I'm saying? We'd catch a Crip bullshit, hit them, or somebody who we think got something that belonged to us, and we'll crush them, get sent to the hole, they won't even give us a shot, and then they'll put us right back on the yard. And, I'm like, damn, because half, a lot of us was trying to get put out that motherfucker anyway to get back close to home. You know what I mean? So for them to constantly kept putting us back on the yard, Doc went to him like, listen, man, y'all see what's going on. Like, y'all just gonna sit here and watch them keep trying to kill each other. You know what I mean? So they wound up putting extra tables on the yard, and a few homies turned it into poker tables. They wound up putting extra tables on the yard. They wound up putting extra tables in the unit. And they started something called I forgot the name they called it, right? But it's like, they started this shit where if you buck a celly, you go to the hole and whoever supposed to be moving in there, what you get, So they started that shit up, They started locking dudes up that was refusing cellies and all that weird shit.
It's like, listen, this shit cuts off on us in 40 minutes. I'm going to send you another link. We're going to do a second part. We're not done yet. Another 30 minutes, all right? And then we should be good, man.